Hi, everyone. I am so excited to introduce a very first series we are doing here on Life of Mom, and it is called the Life of Mom Expert Series. And my very first guest is Rhonda Richards-Smith. She is a love expert, a psychotherapist, a
mom?
She is a mom. She has been published in Oprah Magazine and Martha Stewart.
Yep.
And Cosmo, and you know those articles in Cosmo, you know.
Get a little racy.
Yeah. And then also, tell us about your job at Match, because she just told me off camera, and it kind of blew my mind. I had no idea this even existed, but I love it.
Yeah, so I've worked a lot with Match.com. I participated in their Dating Expert Summit a couple of years back, and I've worked with them off and on. And it's great because I think that they really, they took a look at the analytics, obviously, right? Like when you're looking for a match, what works, what doesn't work, but you also kind of need that human touch element. Like there are certain things that you can't always track based on numbers.
Right.
And so that's where the Match dating experts come in.
So Match.com has hired you to basically, if someone wants to pay a little bit extra, they can get.
Oh yeah, you can you can hire experts on Match. You can work with experts, and we participate in dating summits. We get together, and we comment on different articles. And they actually just had a study that came out. They do a lot of research on dating, which is really exciting. It's some research that came out.
Really?
That I'm kind of combing through. Yeah. So
nice. Well, good. Well, keep us up on that research because we all need to know. My husband says, hello, bride. Hi, husband. I'm about to ask our relationship expert a few questions based on my love and relationship. So you're probably going to start sweating. But I wanted to know what are the most, so definitely you guys, if you have any questions regarding self-love, relationships, whether it's marriage, dating, whatever, we have an expert here. When I asked a few days ago, hey, do you have any questions for a love expert? People were like, who says you're a love expert? I'm like, I'm not saying I'm a love expert. I'm saying I'm having a love expert on the show. So if you guys have any questions, definitely write it in. We'll get to your questions and comments in a bit. But I'm going to start off with what are the most important tricks and tips or things, whatever the word is, to apply in a marriage. So I've been married 11 years. What should I be doing on a regular basis to strengthen my relationship with my spouse?
So I'm going to say something that might sound a little bit counterintuitive, but that's how my advice is. It's really important that you make sure that you're spending really good quality time apart.
Oh, I got that part. I have that down.
Good.
I go to my ladies' nights.
Yes.
I do my little girls' trips. But you know what? I actually think my husband doesn't do that.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, go ahead, hang out. Do your friends, because I can be a little naggy. And I feel like he needs he gets out, but he works so hard and he's so laser focused. But so Tom, relationship expert Rhonda Richards-Smith says, go hang out with your buddies. Yes. Well, I know when I go out with my girlfriends, just being able to kind of take the mom hat off, be a little, and a lot of times we are talking about our kids, but just kind of hitting a reset, stepping away. I feel like I come back, I miss my kids, I love my husband, because I had a little fun in my life.
Yeah, it's really easy in a marriage to get so caught up with each other and kind of caught up with the kids too that you lose sight of the fact that you are a woman in this world, and you have different things that you might want to accomplish. You have skills, you have talents, you have passions, and so it's easy for those to get lost when you just kind of get caught up in the day-to-day husband, kids, the routine.
Oh, I feel that 100%. Yeah. I have a Facebook group of girlfriends, and our group title in all caps is validation, because we are all so different, but we went on this little ladies trip and we all kind of bonded over the fact that we all just want to feel validated. And sometimes our husband, unless we don't spell it out for them, you know, they don't know that we need to feel a bit validated and feel, but kind of having this group where like we all go on and we're like, I just had this job interview or whatever. It's kind of fun to have that group. So find your village and feel validated.
Yes.
Oh, okay. We got a question. Or no, not a question. I got married at 18 years old, and we are going to be 7 years of marriage this Sunday.
Oh, congratulations!
Yay, that is a big achievement,
It
especially at getting married so young.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was pretty young when I got married too. I was, how old was I? 22, almost 23 when I got married.
Yeah,
and so we just celebrated our 16th wedding anniversary.
When you said that earlier, I'm like, you had to get married when you were 12 because you look so young.
Thank you.
Yes.
Moisturize.
Yes. Get that applied. So any other tips? Okay, spending time alone.
You have to spend time alone. Another thing that's really important too that I think we assume oftentimes in marriage is you have to be willing to be vulnerable with your partner. And I've encountered a lot of women, especially who, and men too, who just don't feel comfortable saying like, hey, that hurt my feelings, or, you know, why would you do that? Or, you know, why would you say that when we were out? Or, right. A lot of times people just bottle it up and you don't discuss it. Maybe you sweep it under the rug and then, you know, it comes up later on in some argument and your partner's like, what are you talking about? I didn't remember that. Yeah. So I think just being able to be really candid, if you're going to spend your life with somebody and you're committed to being their partner, you got to be able to let them know when they hurt your feelings or when you're upset or when you feel discouraged, you know. Right. It's not just about the good times and having fun. It's great, but you also need to be able to clearly express when you're feeling a little down and let them help you do it. Yeah. Yeah. But you have to express it and you can't assume that they know it. Right. Especially with men. They want it spelled out. Yeah. They want to find solutions. Yeah. Like Tommy's like, okay, when I was, you know, years ago when I was going through depression and anxiety, he's like, let's find the solution, let's fix it. And it was kind of like, well, I'm grieving. Right. So it might take a minute. And he ended up being incredibly supportive and allowing me to kind of go through that. But no, I think I'm super vulnerable because I go on here and I pour all my dirty laundry. Yeah, right? So you guys definitely write in if you have any questions about relationships, your own relationship with yourself, dating, all of that. We have a love expert. Like the Frozen, you know, the love experts, the rocks in Frozen. Like we have a real love expert, relationship expert here on Life of Mom. Rhonda Richards-Smith, if you're just tuning in, she's been in Oprah Magazine. She's been on Martha Stewart. She's been in Cosmo. She is what is your title at Match.com? Dating expert. She is a dating expert at Match.com. She connects people from an expert level of chemistry. They like fly her into Dallas and tell them what else you're working on for the first time. You're going to make me reveal it? Be a little vulnerable. Give yourself some love, girl. Okay. All right. You don't have to say what it's about. Just that. Okay, so I am writing my first book, which I'm really excited about. That is amazing. It's been a process. Big. That's very big. It's a process. Yeah. And I feel like a relationship expert, all your history and your background, that book's going to fly off the shelf. And we're going to have you back on, and we're going to promote the heck out of it. Thank you. We're going to get this sold. Yes. What about spending too much time alone? Definitely, you want to be sure you don't isolate yourself, which I think is really important. Isolation is never good as a therapist. Isolation is one of those things that can eventually lead to depression, just depending on what's going on. So you don't want to isolate yourself. But you do want to make sure that you surround yourself with people that build you up versus those that drain you and drag you down. And tear you down. All know we all have that. People and situations. Well, and I feel like motherhood can be really isolating. Especially if you go from
you know, working full time and then you're staying home, like I'm speaking for myself, where you're staying home full time with kids and all of a sudden your whole identity changed.
Yeah.
Like I know with me, I had this medically fragile baby. My whole life was career oriented up until that moment. My husband was working long hours and I was terrified, isolated, and I ended up getting depressed.
Yeah.
So that definitely happened to me. So definitely try not to. I think my whole village, my whole support system was in Chicago, but I wasn't proactively finding my village locally, and I needed to do that.
That's so important, especially if you like move to a new area, you don't know anyone, and it's not always easy to find your village. So don't get me wrong, it's not something that happens.
Oh, I have to put a bra on and go outside.
Yeah.
Like that's not easy all the time, right?
Yeah. But it's in the long run, it's really worth it.
Yeah.
And that's one of those great self-care tips that I have is that, you know, you got to make sure that you surround yourself with positive people.
Absolutely.
That is self-care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a question from a user, not a user, a Life of Mom community member. She wrote in a couple days ago.
Okay.
Kristen asks, how do you have a healthy relationship with someone who is exceedingly pessimistic? And I feel like there's one in every relationship. I'm the pessimist in my relationship.
Are you?
I'm the pessimist. My husband's like the eternal optimist.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
I can put on a good show, but no, I'm a total pessimist. I'm from Chicago. I have like, I just like, I've seen too much.
You know, I have to think of that. I'm like, am I the pessimist in that? You know, I think I might be the pessimist.
I mean, it's okay to be. I don't think we're exceedingly pessimistic.
No. Definitely.
So what do you
Definitely
do?
not.
That's a good question. What do you do for?
Well, I'm assuming it's a romantic relationship, right? Family dynamics are a little bit different, and I can touch on that too. So if you're talking about your partner, I think, you know, again, it kind of goes back to communication, because oftentimes, you know, it's not like you go around, you know, trying to be pessimistic or, you know, that's the goal. That's like never the goal.
Yeah, there's usually some rooted reason why you have a tainted view on life.
And probably it may be something that your partner hasn't expressed, and sometimes that comes out as pessimism. But maybe it's more like opening up a conversation about what's going on. I don't know that I would say like, why are you being pessimistic? I don't know if that's gonna go very well.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a good lead-in.
But I would approach it more from concern and just kind of trying to figure out like, well, what's going on? And I mean, sometimes we get caught up in the day-to-day. We don't have like those real kind of like deep conversations about, you know, how do you feel about where you're at in life? Like, is this where you thought you would be at 30, 40, 50, however old? You know, is this the route that you saw your life going? Is there anything that you would change differently? Sometimes if you just kind of start to explore and ask some of those questions, you can maybe kind of get to the root of the pessimism.
Right.
And it can kind of give you a better perspective on where they're at.
Well, and I also feel like sometimes your job, like if you're in a job that can bring you down and drain you out, and then you go home and you unload on your partner. That's what like before I stopped working, I was in a tough job situation, and I just got pummeled day after day, and I would come home and unload on my husband. Yeah. And the poor guy, he was like it wasn't his fault, but I didn't feel safe doing it, obviously, at work. But I think having those questions are really good. Like, where did you think you'd be at this point? Where do you hope to be in 5 years from now? How can we change it? Like, what can we do to kind of make that?
Because you're still here.
Right.
You know, and it's easy to get caught up in the routine and just feel like, you know, life is just taking in a particular direction, but that's not true. We make choices every day. And so like, even if you have a job, let's say that you hate, you may have a decision to make, you know, is it something that you want to continue to pursue, or do you need to start looking at other options? We always have choices. Even when it seems like we don't have a choice, we always have a choice.
Right.
Always.
I tell my daughter, because
not choosing is a choice.
She'll be like, I don't want to go to camp. I don't want to go to school. And I'm like, listen, not every day is going to be good, but you can find the good in every day. Yeah. I said, you can approach today and already think I'm mad at the day, or you can say, what good happened today? And then she comes home with the award for the day that they like write up, and I'm like, babe, oh my God, you're amazing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, find the good in every day.
Perspective.
Okay, keep talking. I'm gonna go turn off our sprinklers that are now spraying our relationship expert. Wait, keep talking. I'll be right back.
Okay, you guys, let's see. I want to see, do we have any more questions? Let's see. I did get a question earlier about dating that I guess I'll address now. There was a question about dating and having difficulty meeting new people in a new city. So the first thing I want to suggest is that you make sure that you are surrounding yourself with different groups of people and you are in different environments. I'm talking a little bit about dating. Someone had asked me about this earlier. And so they're kind of like running into the same people over and over. But oftentimes we are subconsciously surrounding ourselves with the same people over and over because it's comfortable, which I get, you know, we love to be comfortable, but in order to meet somebody new, someone who might be a potential match, you might have to go outside of your particular area. I know we're in LA and I know we're in the Valley. And so I know some folks that are like, I'm not dating anybody who lives in LA. I'm not going over the hill. I'm not joining the traffic. It's a deal breaker.
Yeah, dating in LA is tough.
And it's tough, but if you continue to meet and connect with the same people over and over and over, you're going to the same restaurants, you're going to the same events, it's the same people, it's the same group of friends, you're never going to meet anybody different. So you're going to have to maybe make the drive or go to events that you wouldn't normally go to or go places you wouldn't typically. Don't be afraid to go on your own, which is another one. Like, you know, because sometimes your friends, depending on where they're at, if their friends are giving the evil eye, everyone's giving the evil eye except for you, nobody's going to approach you.
And I read somewhere that if you're out with just one friend, it's less likely a guy will approach you than if you're with two friends. Because if it's just one-to-one, it's harder to approach you. I just read this. I'm like, I don't know.
And it feels like interrupting. If you're, you know, you might be having a meeting. I mean, they don't have any clues. So they don't want to disrupt the connection, but at least if they talk to you, then there's
if there's multiples, then you're not taking them away. No, I found that interesting. So I dated in LA for several years.
Did you?
Oh yes. And it was fine. I told my kids, I kissed a lot of frogs before I found your father. And we actually met playing softball in a co-ed softball team in LA because I was so sick of meeting guys at bars. And listen, you can date in LA, but if you want to like land a relationship, a long-standing one, somewhere like LA or a big city, it's really hard because guys don't want to commit in those kind of scenarios. So I joined the softball league and I was the catcher. And it was like a 10-to-1 guy-to-girl ratio. You guys, I'm not kidding. And I would show up in my cutoff jeans and cowboy hat, and I'd talk smack to everyone that came to the
strategy.
And I'm like, I got game, so I'm going to be a little flirty, playing catcher, talking smack to the guys, and that's where I didn't know my husband existed for 6 months. But he remembered me at like when he joined, because I had been playing there.
I love that. What a good story.
I know. And once I got this baby, I stopped playing. And everyone's like, what? You're like engaged for a year and a half. I'm like, I'm not getting no balls. I'm not getting no balls and bats to my face. I got to be a bride, okay? I got a ring. So anyways, I digress. Sorry, guys.
It's a good story.
It is, but it goes off of what you're saying. Like I was over the bar scene and meeting guys in that. So I joined kind of an activity. And it helps to join the activity that's heavily male to female ratio.
Strategy.
Strategy. I had a very clear strategy. It was super effective. Okay, I have another question for you. We have Dallas. What do we call it? Dallas asks, I've been in 3 serious relationships and I've been cheated on in every one of them. Why?
Wow.
That's really tough. That sucks. Sending you love, girl.
Yes, absolutely. There could be a couple of things going on.
Okay.
The first is this. Oftentimes we can get caught up when we're looking to partner with somebody. We can kind of get caught up in, I don't want to say superficial things, but we can kind of get caught up in things that may or may not be most important. And our family and friends can sometimes influence the people that we tend to gravitate to, right? For better or for worse.
Right.
So the first thing I think I want you to do is just be really clear on, you met three guys or three people, didn't work out. Reflect on what those folks had in common. So obviously they cheated, right? What are some other things that they had in common? Because I think it's really important whenever you have a breakup to kind of reflect and highlight, okay, what did I learn? What did they have in common with the last relationship? And you kind of want to start to identify the patterns, right? Mm-hmm. So that would be my first step, is kind of identify the pattern and see if you can pick out the similarities. The second piece is you may subconsciously not be ready for a serious relationship. You may not be ready. And if you are not truly ready for a serious relationship, unfortunately, what will happen is you'll typically attract somebody who's also not ready for a serious relationship.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, guys who are afraid of commitment, I feel like.
But some people are attracted to people that aren't fans of commitment. Mm-hmm. So you have to take a look at that. So you have to see for yourself.
Yeah.
Are you truly ready for commitment? What does commitment look like for you? Because that varies from person to person. And then I think also just being really clear and communicating up front when you are dating and meeting somebody in the future about what your expectations are. Not ignoring your gut and not ignoring how you feel. And if there are red flags early on, addressing them immediately and not waiting until things progress. So I think communication is really key too, but you kind of have to be real with yourself about what it is that you want. And you have to be really vigilant about communicating that. You got to be really clear.
And what about someone who's been cheated on and they start a new relationship? I feel like you enter in with this kind of worry, right? Or like panic, like, is this going to happen again? How do you, and I don't even know if it's possible, but how do you start a new relationship after being cheated on in a healthy mindset, I guess? So you
definitely don't want to bring the baggage from the old relationship into the new relationship, right? And that can happen. But
that's hard to do.
It's hard if you haven't taken the time to process what happened in the last relationship, which is some of what I was talking about. You have to stop and process. And it's not easy and it's painful, and you kind of have to allow yourself to feel the pain. Obviously you don't want to, slip into a depression or something where you don't want to isolate yourself, but you're going to be sad. You're going to feel horrible.
Right.
And that's okay. And you kind of have to accept the fact that it's going to be like that for a while and be okay with that. Be okay with kind of being sad and working through and processing that we're human. That's what we have to do to move on and get through. So you have to do that work first before you even consider getting into a relationship with somebody else. And I think sometimes people like to kind of
go right into the next thing. Right.
You know, or if there's somebody who was kind of already, in the purview, and then they, someone goes out, and then, you want to kind of pull somebody back in.
Right back in.
Just do your best to avoid doing that. Give yourself some time to heal first. We always talk about healing our bodies. You have to heal your mind and heal your spirit too. Yeah. It's just as important, if not more so.
And that's like a universal theme, right?
In any kind of pain.
Yeah. To allow that pain to process.
Yeah. It's a process. So I would just say definitely you want to give yourself some time. And when things start to happen in the new relationship, you want to base things on facts and not necessarily like how you're feeling. Now I love, I do believe in trusting your gut.
Yes.
But if you haven't fully processed that, sometimes your gut can steer you in the wrong direction.
Right.
You don't get a text message back within 20 minutes and he's cheating and he's doing this and he's doing that, when, it could just be he left his phone in the car. I don't know. Anything.
Well, how accurate was the movie He's Just Not That Into You?
That was a tough movie. But I think, but seriously.
Like, what percentage would you say, as a relationship expert, how on point were they in
I think it was pretty on point.
Yeah.
Because what I noticed in that movie, which I had never seen, you know, we typically see the fantasy and, you know, Disney, and I could go on and on kind of about, you know, how that steers us down the wrong path, right?
Right.
But, and He's Just Not That Into You, what was, I think, poignant is that oftentimes things were clearly expressed.
Right.
Which I think is also key. Sometimes when people are cheating or, you know, we think something might be going on, sometimes people are saying, you know, I feel like some distance, maybe we need time, they're not interested in talking. You know, sometimes it's not just red flags. Sometimes they're saying, you know, maybe we should see other people.
Right.
And because you want it to work so badly, you don't hear it.
No.
And you don't see it. And I've seen examples where people are pretty clear that they need a break.
Yeah.
And because the partner won't accept it, they end up getting cheated on. But again, they've expressed that they want to see other people.
Yeah,
but the other partner just doesn't want to process or hear that or accept it.
That's a movie I can like tune in at any part of the movie and watch over and over and over again, because I honestly think it's so interesting to kind of see all these dynamics, and I do think they did a pretty good job.
They did.
I had a friend, I was dating a guy, not my husband. I had a friend that bought me a book for my birthday. And it was He's Just Not That Into You. And I was like, is this a sign? What does this mean? And she's like, oh no, just read it. It's really good.
Okay.
And like a few months later, I found like my boyfriend had written a poem to a coworker that like he left out, like flipped the notepad to that page. Like he wanted me to find it.
Place
and
it
I was
on your
like,
bedside.
here you go.
Yeah.
Read this and let's break up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And people can be passive aggressive about
Yeah.
it too, which is kind of unfortunate. Like you should be able to just come to the person and
Right.
say it like, but everyone.
But in hindsight, I know, like I remember he had a crazy fear of commitment. Like he did not want to settle down. He did not have any of those. And, you know, it's interesting. We would have made a lot better friends than relationships. Okay, so we have another question.
Okay.
So you guys, if you're just tuning in, we are here with Rhonda Richards-Smith. She is a relationship expert, psychotherapist, Match.com dating expert. She's been in Oprah magazine, and well, if Oprah likes her, you know, and she has been so kind enough to do this here at Life of Mom and be here for you guys. So if you have any questions about relationships, about self-love, and healthy relationships with yourself,
Absolutely.
I think that's my biggest thing is working on a relationship with myself.
Yep.
I get anyways.
Absolutely.
Let's do another question. So, you know, a few days ago I asked questions. So this is from Amanda. Okay. And she says, I have a difficult time letting go of feelings of anger during arguments. And I think it's because my husband never admits he's wrong. This is very relatable. Okay. My husband is not one to readily admit he is wrong and apologize. While I know he feels remorse, he doesn't express it verbally. How can I communicate that with him in a way that is safe and non-accusatory? The fact that she even like says, how do I do this in a safe and non-accusatory way is really thoughtful.
No, it's very thoughtful, and going along with that, my first tip is definitely be sure that you don't do it during an argument.
Yeah. Right.
Which people do sometimes, and it's, you know, sometimes you'll try to make like an amazing point, but if you're in the middle of an argument
and you're in the heat and you're like, oh, I got this.
It's gone. Yeah. No, it's gone. It's gone. The moment has passed. So I think you're definitely right. You want to do it in a setting, and maybe you even like, I don't know, make a night of it, or you kind of, you know, I mean, whatever your situation is, but kind of like just set the tone. And it's really more about kind of like figuring out what's really going on. If you guys are having a lot of arguments, I think getting to the root of that is really important. I mean, I'm assuming these are just random arguments, but if you're having a bunch, maybe there are other things that are going on with your partner. There might be something at work, or it might be something else that's not even related to you. So I think the first step is really just getting to the root of it. But in terms of your partner kind of admitting that they were wrong, I think modeling that, number one, is really important. So oftentimes, we want certain things, so we want certain communication, but are you modeling that? So that's the first step. Are you readily admitting, hey, you know what? We had that argument last week. I was totally wrong. You were right. I messed up. That's my fault. I'm so sorry.
Right.
I think even modeling that, there's a lot of power in that. So I would do that first. Once you've modeled that multiple times, you sit your partner down and say, hey, I kind of want to talk to you about our communication style. Something happened X number of weeks ago. And I just want you to, I want to let you know how it makes me feel when you don't admit some wrongdoing or some fault when we have a disagreement.
Right.
And you have to make it about you to an extent and not just about like what they're doing. Like, why are you doing this? This is wrong. You shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
Come from a place of vulnerability and emotion and just say, as your partner, this is how it makes me feel when you kind of glaze over it and you move on. And I'm still upset and my feelings are still hurt. And I feel like you're not acknowledging where I'm at or how I'm feeling.
Right.
I think if you approach it from that angle, your partner might be more likely to really take it in and listen to what you've got to say. And it's a process.
Yeah, it is. So I am the person in the relationship that can't admit they're wrong and can't apologize.
That's not me.
That's
not me.
So I want to ask a question, and I'll probably get shot down by the relationship expert. So I have a hard time admitting I'm wrong. Or apologizing, saying the actual I'm sorry. So here's my question. And I can say I'm sorry to I can call myself out in every other regard, but with my marriage, can you have like a code word for I'm sorry so you don't have to say I'm sorry? Like my husband and I have a code word for I want you, like in a sexy way. And it's like the last name of an old baseball player. And it's really dumb, I know, but like we say it and we know what we mean. Right. Strawberry.
Right.
Okay, so if you have a hard time physically saying it, what if you're like a Game of Thrones fan and you're like, I can't say I'm sorry, Tom. I'm looking at you. But I can say the blood wedding. And or not, like, is that just
maybe not the blood wedding,
or like,
but
is there?
But it depends on how your partner feels.
Yeah,
it depends. Because I think it's funny. It would work for me,
right?
But for some folks, no, they might want an actual I'm sorry.
Yeah, I would open it if you have a very stubborn partner. I'm a stubborn partner, so I'm speaking from your stubborn partner's side. Like if they have a super hard time just saying the words in the moment.
Yeah.
Can we ease into, like, I can say I'm sorry a few days later, but sometimes that's a few days. So that's like built up.
But that's okay. I think it's even okay if it's a couple days later because, sometimes you just need a minute to cool off too. You can't always have a knockdown, drag out argument and then you come right back together. That's not always a good idea either. Right. You have to process what happened, how you're feeling. Yeah. Then you come back together, right? So don't force it. I wouldn't force it. And I definitely wouldn't force it, especially if you don't mean it. So think about it. Okay. Think about it.
So I am a huge proponent of, the advice, never go to bed angry, the marriage advice, never go to bed angry. I believe I should go to bed angry because what I say in the heat of that argument that night, I'm probably not going to say, or I'll at least say in a more rational, calmer way after sleeping for a night.
Yes.
But like people are like super hardcore, like never go to bed angry. No, put me to bed. So what's what do you say about like the never go to bed angry advice?
It's, you can't have an all or nothing philosophy.
There's no right or right.
You can't. I feel like my husband is probably a go to bed and I'm like let's soldier through.
Well, you're a relationship expert.
But it's okay, which is fine. But sometimes I do think there is something to be said for having a good night's rest. Maybe you're exhausted again from the day. Maybe there's a lot of stuff going on with the kids. Maybe the traffic was crazy. Right. So sometimes you're not even in the right frame of mind to resolve it.
For sure not.
Until you get some rest.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of wake up. You're a little more calm, a little more reflective. and then you can come back together.
Yeah. Anytime
Nothing
I've
wrong
tried
with
to
that.
like hammer it out in the moment, it escalates,
Yeah,
and I
it's
say
nice.
things that I end up having to apologize even later for, even when I think it's like about. So yeah, I'm like, put me to bed. I'll talk in the morning.
Yeah.
Let's not talk now. And my husband's gotten really good about like sensing it. I mean, like, you know, we'll talk tomorrow. We'll give it. Let's cool this fire out.
Yeah, take a little nap. It's fine.
So let me know if you guys have any more questions. We're going to be wrapping up. I have one more question for you.
Okay.
But if any of you guys have questions, definitely send them in. Esmer says, but the woman is always right. True. Okay, so we talked about self-love a little bit.
Yeah.
And so we talked a little bit before we came on the
Mm-hmm.
show. And growing up, my mom was always like a big advocate for me against myself.
Okay.
Because I would get very hard on myself. And she passed away about 10 years ago. And she was like kind of a therapist in a way
Mm-hmm.
that like when I've been in therapy in the past, they are usually an advocate for me against me.
Yeah.
Like it's usually almost always my own internal
Mm-hmm.
conflict that I have with myself. So if you struggle with having that very genuine self-love relationship with yourself, and you kind of go about it by seeking out that validation, that love from someone else. So you're relying on someone else's love for you to feel loved, which I just saying it, I know that's not healthy, but that is what I struggle with.
Mm-hmm.
Like I seek out that love and validation instead of carrying it within. So is there a tool that I can apply? Like I started writing in a journal.
Oh, that's good.
Like, but it sounds so, and again, this is me, like it sounds so cocky, right? Because I'm like writing out what I'm good at, because I have to change. I have to flip the script.
You do, and it's going to take a while because it's a pattern.
Yeah.
So,
39 years.
Yeah, that's not going to go away today or tomorrow. It's just not. So, but I think, first of all, the fact that you're even aware of that is huge. Yeah. And I can tell you as a therapist, the fact that you know that you purposely seek out validation from others is a really big deal.
Yeah.
It's been years and years in therapy with people, and they may or may not kind of understand and see the pattern.
Well, therapy helped me get there.
Okay, good. So good. Okay, good.
So I did come to it not totally alone, but I do feel like, but it's still, even after the years of therapy that I was in, I'm kind of slowly falling back into it. So maybe I need therapy again. But like are there tricks for somebody who maybe does feel isolated, home with the babies, like in that kind of new mom stage or whatever, in a change of identity, an empty nest mom, something like that, where all their life their love was coming from, that interaction with their child or work or whatever. Like, is there something that we can proactively do and implement into our daily routine that could help our relationship with ourselves? So
a couple of things. The first one, which I know everybody kind of groans at, but it works, is meditation. It's meditation. Is that the 4 breaths in, hold 4 breaths out? Yep, but it doesn't have to be that way. Like, it's easy to kind of get into perfectionist mode with meditation, right? Like, I gotta have a certain kind of music, I have to be sitting in a certain place, it has to be for a certain amount of time. Not necessarily. You may only have 3 minutes, maybe. Right. It's okay. Especially as a new mom. Yeah. Yep. You might find it where you can. Yep. You want to be as comfortable as you can be so you can relax. But don't get too caught up in kind of like the images you see of, like, there are the yoga pants and everybody. Yeah, because then I got to put a bra on again. And it looks stressful. Yeah. It looks like a process. Task. Yeah. Right. No. So don't get so caught up in that. But it's more just about taking time to be alone with yourself and with your thoughts. It's tough to change the pattern when you don't even know what you're thinking. it's easy to get caught up in how you're feeling. So, you know, you feel bad, you want someone else to make you feel better, you get caught up in the cycle. But the key is really your thoughts.
But what if your thoughts are self-inflicting, like negative?
Well, you have to know the difference. And if the thoughts are negative, you have to, number one, understand where they're coming from. And number two, figure out, are they based in fact? Which is what I meant with separating your thoughts and your feelings. Right. You also need to be clear on facts, because it's easy to tell yourself a story. You tell yourself a narrative. Again, you know, somebody can text you in 3 minutes or this and that. You go down the rabbit hole and you have a whole, you have a whole story that you've created that's not based in any fact.
No, right.
So once you lay out what your thoughts are specifically, what your feelings are specifically, you also want to go back there and look and say, well, are these true?
Interesting. No,
is it true?
A lot of it's emotionally. Yeah. This has been so good, you guys. I feel like I need to pay you like a copay right now, because
I'm
getting so much out of this. Yes. So thank you so much.
Of course.
So the first Friday of every month, I'm starting a new series on Life of Mom called Life of Mom's Expert Series. Rhonda Richards-Smith, our relationship expert and psychotherapist, was our very first guest. I'm so, so grateful.
Of course.
Your feedback is invaluable. You guys share this with anyone who you feel like could be helped by this. If you know a mom who feels isolated, who might need a little self-love, someone who's struggling in relationships, all that stuff. This is very good, valuable information that costs a lot of money in another way. And Rhonda has been so gracious to give freely this advice to all of us who may be struggling with self-love and relationships. So thank you so much.
Of course. It's a process, so keep at it. Just keep at it every day, and don't beat yourself up about it. That's the main thing.
Awesome.
Take your time.
Thank you, guys. So check out in the caption here, I have Rhonda's Facebook page, so definitely go check her out. And then what is your website?
RhondaSmithLCSW.com. And then you can also find me on Instagram and Twitter at RhondaSmithLCSW.
So go follow her because she's amazing. Thank you, Rhonda, says Esmer. Thank you guys for watching. We will be back next month. I am having Dr. Amy Ostick, who is like a neighborhood mom friend that just happens to be a phenomenal doctor. And she's going to come on, and we're not talking like my kid has an itch. It's about you and what's going on with your health, your how you're taking care of yourself so that you can be the best mom for your kids. So this is the Expert Series, and it's to help strengthen all of us moms here in this ride called motherhood. So thanks so much for watching. Thank you, Rhonda Richards-Smith.
You're welcome.
Definitely follow her, and we'll see you guys later. How do I end this? Oh, here.
And live video.
Yes, and live video. Maybe that.